Hello, everybody, and welcome to the tavern. Tonight's episode was sponsored by Mad World. Check them out at www.itsworldmadness.com. As always, I'm your host, Brandon, and my co host, Landon. How are you, sir?
Hey, we're just out here living the dream. If the dream was the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Man, you say that every episode, and here you go, just getting some, what was that? Garbled speech, word vomit. What was that?
Yeah, just letting it flow out of my mouth. I don't know.
That's usually what you do. And our special guest, Bonnie Hardie. How are you, ma'am? Hey, Bonnie, you good?
Oh, yes. I think I kind of froze up for a second or something. I'm sorry. I'm back. I'm here. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Landon. How you doing, guys, tonight? What's going on?
We're good. We're really, really happy to have you on here. Can you do me a small favor and take a moment and explain to our audience who you are, what you do, and why it's going to be a great time to talk to you tonight?
All right. Well, my name is Bonnie Hardie. I am a mindset, life, and gratitude coach. I'm based in Central Florida. And what I do is I empower people to say bon voyage to the shackles in their mind so that they can live their best life. And I help people to have an attitude of gratitude, to appreciate what they do have and don't dwell on what they don't have. And to, pretty much leave the past in the past and start going forward from here on out and help you go from being rock bottom to rock solid.
I dig it. Well said. I feel like you might have said that once or twice, huh?
Yeah, I've said it a few times in my life. I try not to make it sound, real robotic and rehearsed, but I've said it a few times here and there.
I feel that one. So typically we go through and we ask you a few questions, get to know you. And Landon always has really good questions up his sleeve. He's kind of, really good at that.
Sometimes.
Sometimes
I'm not prepared to ask a question. And then it's just like,
Well, let's start out with what made you want to start on this journey?
Well, people ask me that a lot. And sometimes depending on, how I'm feeling that day, what my attitude is like, sometimes I give a smart aleck answer and I'll be like, hey, I just got tired of listening to people moaning, complaining, and crying about every little thing, because sometimes that gets a little crazy.
Amen.
But basically, I want to see people to live the life of their dreams and do what they want to do. Because I've witnessed people that are in their 20s and 30s, they will sleep half the day and then they want to go watch sports the rest of the day. And then they say they're bored. And it's like, man, there's a big wide world out there to do stuff, and people that are older, depending on how you identify older, they're in their, 60s or 70s and they might think, hey, is there anything left in my life to do? There's nothing going on. I myself am 58 years old. And a lot of people my age, it could be a widower, they could be a divorcee, the kids have grown up and moved out of the house. They're like, oh, is there anything left for me to do? I was like, man, there's such a world out there to do. You can travel. You can
do what you put your mind to.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. So, my mom is in her 80s and she and her significant other are traveling around in an RV. And to be honest, I don't even know where she is half the time. I have to look on his Facebook page to see where my own mother's at, or ask my brother or my sister, because they're traveling around the whole United States. They've gone all the presidential museums, and they've gone to all the national parks and stuff. So she's living her best life, and that's what I want for a lot of people, is just get out there and do stuff. And don't sit at home watching TV, all day long and just kind of vegetating. What are your hobbies? What do you want to do? Let's just get out there and do stuff. How do you want to impact the world?
Well, it's funny that you say the people in the 20s and 30s. That's our generation.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people in our generation and thereafter have a lot of sense of entitlement. They think that everything should be handed to them instead of having to work hard for it. And because of that, they don't think that they should have to do anything. And it's the complete opposite. And that's why there's a lot, in my opinion, society is starting to fall apart.
Right.
Couldn't said it better myself, Bubba. We don't claim this generation, if that says anything.
Yeah, we're a rare breed. I'm not saying that I don't have my moments where, I just want to sleep all day and not do anything.
Right.
Because I do have those. But I know that if I want something, then I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get it done.
Right.
And I know that if, you know, I'm bored, I'm going to find something to do.
Oh yeah.
We were raised up growing, you know, licking the water hose outside, being told not to come inside until it starts getting dark.
Right.
You know, so it's just one of them things. But I think it's a great thing that you do, because I believe that a lot of people do kind of need that kick in the butt to say, hey, you know, you can do this, you know. So and how long have you been doing this? I don't know if you said that or not.
I've been doing it just a couple of years. I'm actually kind of new in the coaching industry. I worked as a virtual assistant before, and I worked like in corporate jobs, you know, fast food and retail and stuff. I you know, this is more of me now with, you know, being my own boss and stuff. And actually, I had a injury at one of my jobs a while back, and I hurt my knee, and then I hurt my other knee. And then I was going to physical therapists and stuff, and like, oh, you got osteoarthritis, you got water on the knee, you got bone on bone, you got this, and you might need to have both your knees replaced by the time you're 60. Well, I'm 58 now, so it's like, oh, okay, well, that's not a pleasant experience. So a typical job to me is hard because I can't stand and walk around for long periods of time. So people say, why don't you get a job? It's like, that's irritating me. That's very disrespectful. I have a job. I'm a coach. So don't be telling me to get a job. Don't be telling me my IDs are silly. Don't be telling me this, that, and the other, because that's very disrespectful. You know,
they don't know your life.
Right. Just because they're not dreamers don't mean that you can't be.
Amen.
You know,
chase a dream. Work the job you want to work, not the job that society thinks you should work.
Definitely. You know, you work the job that you want to work, that makes you happy, that lights you up every day, that you want to get up and go out and get out of bed and go out and you know, change the world. I'm not asking to change everybody, but if I can, you know, at least every day make one person smile or happy, that I've done my job for the day, basically, you know.
Well, they say that, you know, just a simple smile at a person while you're walking down the street could save them from suicide that day.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, with COVID happening, some people around here are still wearing masks, but you can't really see if they're smiling or not, but you can still see their eyes. And I say, you know, just compliment people. It's like, hey, I like your earrings, or I like your shoes, or something like that. Yep. And just look at them and make eye contact, because you don't know what anybody's going through. And I've been on that end stage before. I'm like, man, nobody cares about me. Nobody, you know, when I was homeless and stuff, is anybody going to even notice if I don't post on Facebook or anything like that? Does anybody care that I'm out here in the cold and the rain? And it's like, oh, you know, just at least make eye contact and say hi. You don't have to have a 25-minute conversation. But just make eye contact and say, hey, how you doing? Happy Tuesday, you know, whatever day. I don't even know what day it is half the time anyway, so whatever.
We've both been there.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah.
Life has never been easy for either one of us. It has been a roller coaster.
But you know, you appreciate stuff when you don't have stuff. Because when I was homeless, I was actually sleeping on a concrete bench, using the bushes for Mother Nature calling at night. And now I'm living in a hotel. It's not fancy schmancy, but I don't need any fancy schmancy. I haven't even turned the TV on since I've been here. I'm just, you know, I got a bed, a bathroom, a refrigerator, a microwave, and I get online, so I'm happy. That's all I need. And some people, they have these big old houses with all these things, and they're complaining about this, that, and the other. It's like, you know, the cost of gas. So at least you have a car to drive around, you know? Yes. Come on. Get real here, people. Let's go. Come on.
And people forget that you got to be at the bottom of the valley, or you're not going to appreciate the view from the top of the mountain. And people don't get that because they spent their whole life at the top of the mountain. They don't know what it feels like to have to climb up there to enjoy that view.
And a lot of the time too, you know, what something that is changing, but it's not as much as it needs to, is that there's a lot of people who get to the top of the mountain and say, well, I got here, you can get here. But never reach their hand back down to help them grow.
Thank you.
Right.
And that's the problem with our society, is we're so selfish. And what we need to be doing in order to create peace is to help each other grow.
Right.
Just like plants on a farm, you know, they don't just grow by themselves.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not looking for a hand out. I'm looking for a hand up. And the name of my business is Rock Solid Mindset, Life, and Gratitude Coaching, and Rock Solid Podcast Guest Coaching. One of my mantras is rock bottom to rock solid.
Yes.
You know, you're not, like you guys said, you're not going to appreciate the top unless you've been at the bottom where you're struggling. And, you know, do I even have food for the day, or I have to go and get, you know, free food from the church, and hopefully I can have a way to cook it. You know, some people then go out to eat for, you know, $60 meal, and they're like, oh, this is nothing. And I'm like, if I ever spend $60 on a meal, somebody better slap me. You know,
That better be for the whole group.
You know, I mean, it's just, so sometimes I'm like, hey, do you want to come out here and be with me for 1 week, being homeless, doing what I'm doing? Because I guarantee if you last 48 hours, you'll be crying after 48 hours. Let's see you come out here and do this and stuff, and then you tell me how to live my life. Then you tell me what to do. Then you can say what you want. But if you can come out here for 1 week and be with me, let's go.
Exactly.
You know.
Miss Bonnie, how often would you say you do your content, your coaching and such?
I have, you know, I post on a regular basis about different things that I have going on, and I kind of pulled back on some things. I didn't want to have too many different things going out there, so I have two main programs right now. One is Vision for Your Life, where I combine a vision board and the Wheel of Life. I color code the Wheel of Life, so that's something you can see instantly, and then we create a vision board. And my other program is my podcast guest coaching program, where I help people to get on podcasts, to spread their message on podcasts, you know, how to apply for the right ones, how to do the mock interviews, how to make sure that, you know, your resume, your bio matches what, you know, the people that are looking for. Because I'm not going to just apply to any old podcast. You know, I'm going to make sure that what you're looking for is germane to me. I'm at that point now where people are coming to me and asking me to be on their podcast. And it's like, hey, one podcast can lead to another podcast. Now I've been on summits, on roundtable expert discussions. I had somebody ask me if I wanted to write a chapter in their book. So
that's great.
You know, you guys doing your podcast, how many people can you reach with just one podcast?
It's a lot.
And it's a lot. And then everybody knows that you guys aren't going to just have any old person on your podcast. So that, and I know I need to come up with my A game and be engaging and not just, you know. So I post regular basis about podcasts that I'm on, and how to create a vision for your life, and how to, you know, do different things. So, you know, sometimes I'll post other things about, you know, other stuff that's going on, because people don't always care about what you ate for dinner every night.
Yeah.
You can't always post business stuff, and I'm really trying to make some of my posts more personable and like case studies, and not just clinical, and say, hey, I have this program, this is what it includes, this is what you get, this is how much it costs, this is what we do, and here's a link to sign up. Because you want to kind of make it personable. So I'm working on that part of making it a little more personable. But I use the hashtags Mindset Mentor, Gratitude Guru, Podcast Pro. So I try to use those a lot too in all my stuff. So
if I can make a recommendation, you say you want to do things and be a little bit more personable. Something that's been working well for us is, you know, I mentioned the app Reality earlier. We go live about 30 minutes before our podcast there, and then we still hang out for about 30 minutes afterwards. So we get to engage with our audience and hang out with them, talk, and, you know, build up that friendship, and then they get to enjoy our content. And then afterwards we get to have discussion on how did you feel about it? What were your thoughts? And just having those two moments to engage with the people, just so that they understand we appreciate the fact that you're a number that boosts us, but you're more than that to us. You know, like, we've made genuine friends that look forward to talking with us every day. And we tell them all the time, we're like, we have the hashtag Tavern Family, because that's what it is. We're creating a family. And that's been a big help for us, is finding a way to physically talk to them and engage with them outside of the content, so that they know they mean more than just another number. So what would you say is your favorite part of what you do?
Just, you know, meeting people from all over the world and talking to them about, why did you want to start a podcast, and what's your criteria for having your guests on your podcast, and just being able to talk to people who you know, do different things, have different backgrounds and stuff, because everybody's got a story, everybody's got a different background. And some people, you know, they look so polished online, the nice house, the kids, the husband, this, that, and the other. But behind the scenes, it is not like that. And you don't always pay attention just what Facebook is and people have told me, well, don't post that you're homeless on Facebook. Don't do this, don't do that. It's like, I'm going to post what I want.
Yeah,
that's
your
social media.
But I can or can't post on my Facebook page. They're like, well,
right.
If you post that you've been homeless, and people might not, hire you on and be a client. I'm like, well, I can reverse that and say maybe the fact that I am homeless is because I don't have any people paying me. Everybody wants me to do stuff for free for them. So, and hey, and I want to be real and authentic, and I'm not going to post bad stuff real often. But sometimes, stuff happens. Yeah. And I've noticed that I post about, my business stuff, and I get like no likes. But when I posted, hey, I have a hotel room for, 4 weeks, I had like over 100 likes and 50 comments and stuff.
Everybody's happy for you.
It's great. I'm glad you're happy for me, but I need to be able to stay here longer than just 4 weeks. I don't want to in early February have to move out and be homeless again in February in Florida. So I need people's help. I need you signing up for my stuff. And if you're not a good match, see if somebody else is a good match for my program or something like that.
See, I think that's one of the things that's going to be the most helpful about us going to podcast or Podfest.
Yes,
the amount of people we're going to meet, the contacts we're going to have, and I know they're going to be having a seminar, I believe, about how to monetize your podcast and stuff like that. There's going to be so much information and stuff for us to learn that it may prove to be really valuable.
It is. This is something that you can't look at it as an investment. I mean, you can't look at it as a cost. You have to look at it as an investment in your future, because you're going to meet people that are experts in all sorts of stuff, from beginner podcasters to experienced podcasters. There's going to be like a exhibition show type thing, exhibits, and people will be talking to you about their products. There's going to be all sorts of different seminars, and you can pick and choose where you want to go. And there's going to be meetups and stuff like that. So you're going to be busy the whole time. The whole time you're there, but it's going to be so worth it, because I mean, last time since it was so close to me going there, I didn't have a chance to get business cards or anything, but I still met a lot of people, and that ended up turning into podcast guest opportunities afterwards. And now that hopefully my business cards will be here in time, that I just ordered them, and then I can hand them all out. And then, like I said earlier in our pre-interview, I'm looking to get at least 10 to 20 podcast interviews scheduled before I even leave Podfest next week.
That would be cool.
That's a great goal.
Yeah, so that's my goal. And I talk to people about this all the time. It's like, have a long-term goal. What do you want your life to be like Christmas time of 2023? But work your way backwards before then. You need this much money, do this or that, and this is what you need to do. How many more people do you want on your podcast? How many viewers do you want? How many more subscribers to YouTube? And work your way backwards from that. Now, sometimes it seems really daunting. It's like, oh, I need this, this, and this. But if you break it down into smaller segments, then it's much easier to get there. And then you can write the steps down and take your step up to the top, and then bring it down here. And then, because the step, 100. A staircase of 100 steps is really big, but they take 1 step and 2 steps and 3 steps and then 4 steps, and keep working your way up, and say, every time I'm taking a step, I'm getting closer to my goal. So that's what I'm doing now. Every time I'm taking a step, I'm getting closer to my goals because my big goal, and hopefully the next few months, I want to buy a van, fix it up on the inside so I can live in it. I want to travel around the United States and Canada, being a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker. I got friends all over the place. I can come visit you guys in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, where I used to live a long time ago. And I was
that'd be cool.
Come and talk to you guys about, hey, where's the men's club, the women's club, the Rotary, the Toastmasters, and spread my word. I mean, I'm not going to ever be big like Tony Robbins, but I'm not going to be the next Tony Robbins, but I'm going to be the first Bonnie Hardie. And
there
you guys, I knew her earlier in this year we talked, and now look at it, a few months later, she's visiting over here, and I can help the homeless and disadvantaged in different areas that I go to. Nice. Because, and I've even written like stuff on Medium, I'm not invisible, I'm invincible. My name is Bonnie. I'm homeless, not hopeless.
Yes.
It's like, come on, don't be looking down on people, because if you're ever in that position, how do you want people to look at you?
People, that is the biggest thing they don't realize is there's going to come a day where you may be in the same situation, and then how you going to feel?
Right.
Like, people, they just don't understand, man. So I want to circle back a little bit.
Okay.
You mentioned your goal is to get a van. If I can make
Right.
a recommendation, instead of looking for a van, look for a Honda Element.
Oh, yeah, Honda Element. Okay.
The seats, it's only a 4-seater van, but the seats fold up and to the side, and the
Okay.
floor is totally rubberized, so you can just hose it out. And it's big enough to fit 2 full-size dirt bikes. And I've seen people turn it into a small camper style van, and it just fantastic option. And you can pick them up. I know it sounds like a lot, but like around in our area, at least I've seen them for about 7,000 in really good shape.
Yeah.
But that definitely, I thought about getting one. It's a very utilitarian vehicle, and I wanted to turn it into a small camper.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many videos on YouTube about people turning anything and everything into a vehicle. I got one of my friends, she bought an ambulance, and now she lives in the ambulance.
Nice.
You know?
Nice.
And you can buy like those moving trucks, and people buy buses, small buses, big buses. You can buy anything and turn it into whatever you want, because an RV is cool, but then an RVA, it costs a lot more money, and it's not, that stealthy. And it's good to the point that it's all set up, ready to go. You just open the door and that's it. But depending on what size it is, it's not the stealthiest thing, and sometimes you want to be kind of stealthy.
Exactly.
But a van, if I get a van that diameter in the back is 10 feet tall by 6 feet wide, boy, I've already written out all sorts of
You got plans.
and how I want to have it, my bed, and I've slept on a concrete bench that's 18 inches wide, so I can sleep on a bed that's only 2 feet wide. I don't need a lot of space.
Right.
For women I do have to have like a bathroom possibly. I don't really need a shower, but at least toilet in there. Not, guys don't always need that, but but how cool would it be for me to be able to do stuff like this where the background is like the ocean someplace or a mountain or something like that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
The coolest thing ever.
I agree.
That would be awesome. And the fact that you'd be able to come and go and share your message in any location, you know what I mean? You're not tied down to one place. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I need this and I need this and I need structure. And it's like, there's a beauty to the freedom of being able to live the van lifestyle. And especially for someone who does the kind of work that you do, that amount of freedom it's immaculate. Like, you'd be able to spread that message no matter where life took you.
Right.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. And I can like follow the seasons. I wouldn't be up north during the winter time, but if I like, certain festivals I want to follow or follow like the fairgrounds or stuff like that, or a certain person I liked in concert, you could do what you want and you're not stuck in one spot paying a mortgage on a house for however many years. And everybody has a different lifestyle that they want to live, and what you want to live is your thing, and I'm not going to dog on that. But what I want to do is what I want to do, and not that, well, won't you be scared as a female by yourself? You're older, you're disabled, you're this, you're that, and the other. It's like, no. And I actually think that being an older woman is more to my advantage, because people are going to mess with me a lot less. They're like, because I could be somebody's grandmother, and you're not going to mess with anybody's grandmother. You'll be beat up or something like that.
Right.
I think I can use that to, to my advantage and be like, hey. And then if other people be like, I could be inspirational to them. They're like, oh, I see Bonnie living her life, doing what she wants to do.
Exactly.
And I want to do that, so let me just follow what she's doing, and you can follow my travels to the United States, but I have to have the money to buy the van to do that. So I have a lot of work to do for that.
Absolutely. So Landon, we're getting close to our 30-minute mark. You know the deal. Landon has a very special question that he asks every person. So if you've ever listened to any of our previous episodes, you might know where we're going with this. But this question usually catches people off guard, and it's our favorite way to get to know our guest. So Landon, drop the bomb.
What is one question you wish we would have asked you, and then how would you have answered that question?
What is one question I wish you would have asked me, and how would I answer that question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not even sure. You guys asked a lot of questions, and they're very insightful. And I talk a lot about different things on here, and I'm not even sure if there's a certain question I wanted you to ask me. To be honest, I just like to talk about my story and myself and how I can help you guys and stuff. So I'm not even sure if I have an answer to that question. But I think you guys asked a lot of cool questions, because you asked the basic questions that a lot of people do. So I probably going to have to spoil your fun a little bit by saying I don't really think there's a question that I wanted you to ask that you didn't ask. To be honest.
Shucks.
You
I
know,
kind
and
of
it's
on that one, huh?
not really because no one's ever said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. Usually they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't."
They scrambled
think
to
of
find the
this."
question, you know. But you were just straight honest to the point. You didn't take 10 minutes to scramble and figure an answer out in your brain. You're like, you know what? No, this was pretty cool.
It's like,
We
hey.
love the energy. We just love the energy.
Absolutely. I'm very excited for us to meet you when we go to Podfest. I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, most definitely. It's great to talk to a lot of different podcast hosts from all over and just learn your story too. What's got you into podcasting? Because people are always asking me if I would ever want to be a podcast host myself, and I'm not really sure. But if I can kind of figure out basic some stuff with doing like StreamYard or the Zoom and stuff like that to interview a few people, I could do that. But I don't know if I'd want to do like the whole big old thing because I think it's a little too much for me at this point in time. But me coming into Podfest next week as a podcast guest, where most people are podcast hosts, that gives me a little bit of an in and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I
that's true
can
too.
talk to people about, what I'm looking for and what they're looking for, and I can get a lot more insight because when I went before, now I'm a lot more polished in what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lot more confident in stuff. My personal situation is much different and better for right now. We'll see how much longer it stays like that. But, I do have to kind of scramble and figure some stuff out. I'm not sure what's going to happen for a couple of days there, but I'm not really worried about it. I'll just kind of figure it all out. I'm very resourceful, and the worst that can happen is the worst that happens, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm there. I'm meeting a bunch of people, so go for it. Just go
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
At the end of the day, regardless of how we have to do to make it happen,
right?
I think between the three of us, we're determined enough that this is going to be a good Podfest.
Right.
Well,
have you guys been to Podfest before?
We have never been to
this
Podfest.
This is going to be our first thing.
Surprise. We have only been podcasting we're going on 7 months, Landon?
Yeah, a little over 7 months, yes, ma'am.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're new to the space, and
you're going to meet so many people, and they're going to be able to give you so many tips and techniques, and they're going to give you a swag bag, and you're going to get all sorts of free stuff and all sorts of stuff, and there's going to be seminars, and
I'm planning on bringing a notebook.
Yeah, make sure you bring a notebook. You guys have business cards. Bring business cards. Bring anything you have.
Here's the surprise. So it had to be. I say that this is divine intervention of some sort because literally like 2 or 3 days before we found out that we were getting the tickets, we had already ordered these. We have shirts that say, mine says host of the tavern, his says co-host, and on the back is our QR code so people can and it takes them to all our information. So tell me that wasn't like...
That's perfect, guys. That is so perfect.
So we're like a walking advertisement the whole time. I hope it does something.
Definitely. Most definitely that, you like I said earlier, it's totally an investment in your future. And you guys will meet so many people. You're going to totally blow up after this. You'll be so busy scheduling more podcast guests on your podcast. You probably have stuff scheduled out for several months. So
I know right now we're scheduled out till like halfway through February, Landon, something like that.
Yeah, something close to that. We're trying not to schedule too far out.
Yeah.
Because life happens.
Yeah.
And we've had to reschedule a couple different people for numerous things, whether it was they had something going on or we had something going on. And if we just schedule at least a month out, that gives us room to say, okay, well, how about we set it back to this month?
Yeah.
Right.
We're trying not to go further than about a month,
Yeah, because I actually have podcasts scheduled out until May, but I'm not going to be going that far out anymore. I only want to do January and February, and then starting in February, then I'll start doing March. And I've got several things scheduled and stuff. But like you said, you don't know what's going to happen. Life's going to happen, and stuff's going on. So let's not get too going on this. But my goal is to have at least 50 interviews scheduled for this year.
Yeah.
And I'm well going towards my goal. So this is my second one so far of this year, and I've got a couple more so far in the first 3 weeks of the year. So I got a couple more scheduled for next week, but I'm not doing too much from like Wednesday to Sunday because I got to get ready for Podfest. So we'll see what happens with that. But as long as everybody gets the word out about their mission and what they do and how they can help the world, that's like the most important thing going on that I think right now.
I hear that one.
Yep, and that's just next week. So
right.
Yeah, one more week. Today's Thursday, right? So
yes.
one more week.
On that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Miss Bonnie, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. Your energy matches everything that we could have hoped for here at the tavern. We love people that have that style and that energy and that positivity. Do you have any closing words for our audience tonight?
Excuse me, I can't talk. The most things I can say right now is I do have a little meme for mindset. The word mindset, using the first letters of the word. It's mindset is knowledge during setbacks. Everything is terrific.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mindset is knowledge during setbacks. Everything is terrific. So whenever things get really, really bad, they're going to get good eventually. And you're not going to appreciate the good without the bad.
That's right.
Yeah.
Once everything is going good, just remember how it was when it was bad. And don't judge others. You don't know what their situation is, why they're doing what they're doing. And if you see somebody that looks kind of down and out, just say, hey, what's your story? Do you need anything? Sometimes just a bottle of water. Right. That helps. I've given out, food and clothes to homeless people and hygiene bags. And, people aren't invisible. Just say, hi, how are you? Are you okay? Do you need anything? That's the most important thing. Don't make people feel that nobody cares about them, because that's why people get kind of nutso and do sorts of crazy things. I don't want to be any part of that.
Exactly. I saw that when I was in DC.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So just appreciate others, respect others, and just because you're in better shape than they are doesn't mean they're a bad person. Doesn't make you the best person in the world. And just you can be in that position at any time, and just treat others how you want people to treat you. And no matter what my position is, I'm still somebody's daughter, somebody's aunt, somebody's sister, somebody's great aunt, somebody's whatever. So do you want other people to treat your family members like that if you're treating somebody bad?
So exactly.
Think about that. Put yourself in their shoes.
Very true.
Mindset is knowledge during setbacks. Everything is terrific, and everything's going to be great in 2023.
Amen. And Landon, you got any special words for our audience tonight?
Miss Bonnie, I just want to reiterate what Brandon was saying. I think it was an absolute pleasure you being on here tonight. And, like I said earlier, I love your energy. I love what you're doing. Keep up the good work. To our audience, I say, hey, thanks for listening to another great episode. We look forward to you listening to more as we continue on this project. And thanks again.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for having me on your podcast. It was more than a pleasure. It was really awesome. I'm so glad that I got picked to be on your podcast, and I do look forward to meeting you guys in about a week.
Yeah, we can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my eagle eye and find you.
Oh yeah, I'll make sure we find each other, and I'll look for your QR code on your back. So I'll be like, hey, you're Brandon. What's going on, man?
What'd be really cool is if we're the only people who have QR codes on our back.
Yeah, that would be cool, but I'm not sure. But that would be really cool. So.
All right. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it. And to our audience out there, we love you, our tavern family, so much. Thanks for stopping by the tavern.
Bye, guys.